Good morning. We hope you're enjoying the conference. We have another very full day planned. And to begin, we have with us today Fraser Valentine. Fraser is Assistant Deputy Minister of Settlement and Integration at Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, who will be saying a few words to get us started. Over to you, Fraser.
It's really great to have the opportunity to be here with you this morning. And of course, I was reflecting that I was with you about a year ago at the conference and how much things have changed. I did, though, want to offer a couple of thoughts and reflections as you begin your second day of deliberations at this, what I think is a very important conference. At the outset, let me just acknowledge that I am in Ottawa and I'm on the traditional unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people. For those of you in other parts of the country, I would encourage you to honor the Indigenous territory in which you reside. Premièrement, je veux remercier Vicky et Jean pour leur leadership de cet engagement à organiser cette conférence et à nous rassembler tous virtuellement. Le ministère est fier de soutenir cette conférence et il y a beaucoup d'années qu'on a fait ça. De mon point de vue, je pense que cet forum est important parce que c'est une opportunité de rassembler et de parler ensemble des différentes personnes des différents niveaux du gouvernement, du secteur privé, du secteur non lucratif, des organismes de recherche en politique et, of course, academics as well. It's important that this is a multi-sectoral forum that brings together a range of perspectives and voices. And certainly, as we continue to manage through the pandemic and think about recovery, these kinds of fora are going to be critical to our collective success. I, of course, know that Minister Mendicino was here yesterday, and I know was very pleased to have the opportunity to open the conference and to talk about the government's commitment to immigration and our response, and particularly the approaches and tools that we have been using to support both immigrants and temporary residents at various stages of the immigration process. I know that he offered some reflections about his point of view on the importance of immigration as a key lever to support Canada in the recovery and both the challenges and the opportunities that are on the horizon. The government, as you know, has announced an ambitious immigration plan that's focused on offsetting the negative economic and fiscal impact of Canada's demographics and the impact of the pandemic on the economy. Between 2021 and 2023, Canada is going to welcome over 1 million immigrants into the country. That is the equivalent, just to put it into perspective, of welcoming the entire population of Manitoba to Canada over the next 3 years. So I wanted to just provide a couple of reflections about the Settlement and Integration Program and some of the challenges and opportunities that I am thinking through. As you all know, the settlement program is an essential feature of Canada's immigration system, and supporting immigrants and refugees along their integration journey is embedded in the actual immigration policy continuum and the way in which the program is funded. It's a unique Canadian innovation, and compared to other OECD countries, Canada really has the most elaborate migration system, and we have overall good integration outcomes. There's lots more to do, but compared to many other countries, we do well. I do think, though, despite that, I think of the program as being at what I refer to as an inflection point. Since 2015, the immigration program has shifted in some fundamental ways. Volume, much higher levels, an increase in place-based approaches like the Atlantic Pilot and others, a real commitment to refugee resettlement, and the importance of facilitating temporary to permanent pathways, as well as shifts in how we deliver services. And I think that the pandemic has accelerated and amplified the curve that was already taking place in the program. So for me, what's important was the foundational relationship that we have between the Government of Canada and our civil society partners and settlement and resettlement agencies. The pandemic really demonstrates this. I mean, we were able to come together, have frank conversations, and put in place a number of responses that I think made a real difference to health, safety, and security of newcomers and frontline workers. We wanted to ensure there was flexibility in funding arrangements to allow for what had to happen, and ongoing engagement with both the sector and provinces and territories. As we move, though, from crisis to recovery, it's really clear to me, and I've made this very clear to my folks, that we need to ensure the ongoing capacity of the sector and to offer flexibility to be able to adapt services for newcomers in the COVID context. We've got to ensure that specialized support services and benefits are in place for resettled refugees in particular, given the context. And we need to continue to look at flexibility and funding approaches and to manage that collectively. I also, though, think of some emerging challenges, and I'll end my remarks with these. We've worked really hard over the past number of years to broaden the scope of settlement services. So we've moved into rural areas, and we're targeting specific populations like francophones outside Quebec. Et ça, c'est une priorité du gouvernement, d'augmenter les niveaux de francophones ou des personnes qui parlent les deux langues au Canada. And it's a key priority for us. The pandemic has made it more challenging, but it continues to be a central focus for me, both with respect to attraction and retention. There's more work to do, though, in these areas. And we've got to think through as well other approaches to have immigrants settle outside of our big cities and into some medium-sized or smaller centers. I think we need to think about our partnerships, the federal funding role and footprint, and the programs and services that we offer, and the linkages and connective tissue that exists with all of the players in the settlement continuing, including provinces and territories, and the role that they play in supporting newcomers as well. The other big question that we're thinking through is who is entitled to settlement supports. As you know, we've had a bit of a one-size-fits-all approach in how we've approached the program. And we've also had what I know Chris Friesen called restrictive eligibility. It's one of the broadest eligible programs we have, but the point is temporary residents do not qualify for services. And the question is, should they? Should tailored settlement services be offered, for instance, to international students or to migrant and agricultural workers for different reasons? And if so, which services? So those are questions that I know you're asking, and I can assure you so are we. We need to think about services in the context of how we manage the growth and how we tailor the offering of services to specific outcomes that we feel are required for newcomers to succeed, both in our communities, but also in the labor market. And so I think that will force us to look at the suite of services that we currently deliver and ask some questions about whether or not we need to tailor those offerings to specific cohorts of immigrants and refugees. And finally, let me conclude by simply saying that obviously we're thinking in a very focused way about the differential impact that the pandemic has had on folks in the country, in particular racialized individuals, seniors, and different kinds of living situations that obviously the pandemic has made very, very clear. So I'm, of course, very pleased that Chris is here to open your day, and I know there are lots of deliberations on this. Our next NSIC meeting with the sector is focusing on racism and anti-racism, and I am very committed to continuing to create the space and the time to ensure that we have these discussions and that we take concerted action in areas that collectively we would like to see things move forward. So let me finish there. Thank you again. Thank you, Vicky, and I wish you guys a great day today. Cheers.